I continue with some more tips and insights to help find ways to make your study of the scriptures more meaningful. And I'm really going to go into some things I've never shown you before. And I think you're really going to get excited about different ways in which you can study the scriptures and get so much out of them. So let's get started. Welcome back to the Covenant Path Special Edition of Come Follow Me, where we explore meaningful ways of bringing the gospel into our lives through scripture study and using the gospel library. It is my hope you will learn each week at least one thing that changes how you study the scriptures. This week it is Doctrine and Covenants 121 through 123. I'm going to go right over to my iPad, and what I normally have is my iPad is set over here to my left, and it's about the same height as my computer, but I've decided to put it on my lap because I'm going to do it a little bit differently this week. So I'm going to bring it up here so it's a little bit easier for me to hold. And this is Doctrine and Covenants 121 through 123, and I'm just going to tap on Doctrine and Covenants 121 through 23, and here I'm in section 121. This is a section that I have studied for years and years. It's one that just the starting of this, the very first verse, just brings me almost to tears. O God, where art thou? And where is the pavilion that covereth thy hiding place? Haven't we all been in situations where we just wonder, is he really listening? Or as the primary song goes, are you really there? I want to go down to a little bit further down here. And what I'm going to do is I'm now going to, I guess I need to back up a little bit. I use an iPad, and I use a large iPad. I also have one that's very small, which I carry to church. But my big one is where I do all my studying. And I've shared this with you before. I use an iPad because it allows me to write by hand. And then if I want, convert that to text and move it to the gospel library. It allows me to do a lot of other things, which I'm going to show again today, and even go deeper into it. However, what I'm showing today doesn't require a tablet, Android, or an iPad. A simple notebook, some colored pencils will work. But I'm going to show you today why I use a digital version, because it allows me to go back and see what I've learned and what I've studied. So I'm going to give a demonstration of that. So in order to get this set up, I'm using the latest version of the software, iPad OS 26. And I really want to encourage you, if it's in your budget, get an iPad. Now, if you're prone to want to use Android, that's fine. Get one of their tablets. I don't have one of their tablets here. I have an Android phone over here I use for teaching, but I don't have their tablet, so I can't help you there. But I know that whatever I'm doing on my iPad can be done on an Android tablet. Now, what I'm showing you here can't be done on a Kindle. Okay, so it's got to be an Android tablet. But the Apple iPads are getting really expensive. Well, they're getting really expensive, but they're also coming down in price. You don't have to get the latest, you don't have to get the fastest, and you don't have to get tons of memory for studying the scriptures. And you can get it for several $100s. And even buy a used one, consider that. And you can also go to Apple and buy their refurbished ones. They have a full warranty and everything, and they're much cheaper. There's many ways to do it. I have bought several iPads off here in Utah on KSL. And you got to know what you're doing. Obviously, if you buy through, uh, uh, ads, or what are they called? Personal ads, where people are selling their various items. It's like if you're going to buy a car that way, you got to know something about cars. Well, same with iPads. So if you want to go to KSL and you're in Utah, and I think KSL's in Idaho, I think. Anyway, if you're where the KSL is, then have somebody go with you that knows what they're doing, and you can get some great deals. And there are other sources to buying iPads. The problem with those sources is you can't necessarily see the person in person because they're in New York and you're in Florida. But there are various ways. If you really want to get an iPad, there are many ways to do it without spending a lot of money. But you do need one thing. You need this thing right here. You need an Apple Pencil. Now, it doesn't have to be an Apple Pencil, but you need a stylus. But I recommend the Apple Pencil, which is not cheap. It's about $100, but it does a lot more than these other styluses do. Okay. So what I'm going to do here with my iPad is I'm going to split the screen here. There we go. And then here are my notes over on the right. And I'm going to first get away from, well, no, I'm not here. Okay. All right. So these are some of my notes, and I know that it's a little hard to read. I can't fill up my whole screen with this. But you can do wonderful things with a tablet. And what I did here, in fact, I believe I can. Oh, I thought I could. Only. Okay. So you can see here, I've made a circle. It says powers of heaven and principles of righteousness, that this is how the rights of the priesthood are controlled. And then here in the box below here, I've been able to copy and paste just right directly from, and we'll get down here to, okay, the scriptures here. And many are called and few are chosen. And no power or influence can be ought or maintained. It's over here on the left, and verse 41. And I just copied and pasted, put it in, and put it in a box. Creating these boxes and everything are very simple. I can tap on here, and here I can do several things. If I want a circle, I can tap on that and tap on the screen, and it throws in a circle. Or I can just use this here, and I can just draw a circle myself, and it becomes a circle, or a triangle, or a square. Oop, that didn't make it. Square. And of course, I can delete these. And so they're very easy to construct. Now, I'm sharing this with you because studies have shown that when we're studying material, I don't care if it's in a college course or you're trying to learn for certification, and it's the same thing with the scriptures, when we take what we're learning and put it in this type of form, and some people would call it a mind map, and I do use mind maps. In fact, let me bring up a mind map to show you what can be done with them. And I use my node. And here I have Jacob and the olive tree. I was recently studying this. Now, this is an old mind map that I created several years ago. And I have a link in Jacob 5 to this mind map. But this helped me break it down. And this mind map wouldn't make any sense to you if I gave it to you. You kind of, oh, what's he doing? But when you make your own mind map, this is where the power comes in. And I really have a great in-depth study of Jacob 5. I'm ready to teach a course on it. And I'm ready because I've been able to divide things out. I have things in different colors. The colors mean something to me, not necessarily to you. And this is just one of the things that I have on mind map. Now, for example, let me go back to the scriptures, and I'm going to do a search. I don't know if I've ever shown you this. To do a search to Jacob, I'm just going to put in Jacob and 5, and it's right there, right at the top, Jacob 5. You put in the first letter of the book, Doctrine and Covenants. It's just a D, not DC. The first letter of the book and the numbers. So Jacob 5, and here I am. And I'm going to hit the 3 dots and look at related content. And here I have a personal application of the olive tree, and I tap on that, and it takes me to Bear, which is, I've talked about it in the past, is where I store all my documents, stuff that I want to keep. And so here it says, the symbol is planted in God's vineyard and membership of the church, membership in God's church. So, and then I can go back to the library. I have symbolic elements of the allegory, and this is by somebody else in here. And this is Charting the Book of Mormon, okay, by John Walsh. And so there's information I've got there on it. And I've got the allegory. This is a pictorial. Is that going to get me what I want? Oh, there we go. Just took some time. And so here I have another kind of a mind map, and I can take this and enlarge it and look at it. And then I have a chart divided into, there's my mind map. And there's a chart divided into systems. And so I can, again, double tap on this. If it's going to work for me this time. Oh, there we go. It's just working a little slow. I think it's working slow because it's also transferring it over to this other screen. Okay, so here is broken down by visits. And so when I read Jacob, and I study it once a year because I read the Book of Mormon every day, and so sometime in the year I'm going to hit Jacob 5 again, or else I'm going to study about the olive tree or about the tribe of Israel or the house of Israel, and I can quickly come to what I need quickly, and then I can add to my growth. This is the power of studying digitally, all right? So now I'm going to go back to my scriptures here, and that's Jacob 5, and I'm going to tap on the 3 dots, and I'm going to go to history. And history takes me right there to Doctrine and Covenants 121. And I'll come down here to verse 43, 44, somewhere in there. It is no power or influence. Okay. And so studying this way and putting, boxes and circles or lines, this becomes very clear. Now, while I was studying this, I wrote what is, and by the way, you're going to see words missing, and it's okay. This is just my personal notebook. If I misspell a word, if I leave out a word, which I quite often do, like what the difference, it should be what is the difference between priesthood, authority, and power. Now, this also brings me to, I've had people look at my notebook when I've shared it with them, and they go, oh my goodness, you've got such wonderful handwriting. I don't know if I do or not. all I know is it doesn't matter how good or how bad your handwriting is, these systems can read it. Okay, and let's just take an example here. I'm going to just select this and see if how much of this it gets correct, and convert to text. Okay, got pretty close. Exercising authority in righteousness. Okay, and I can go in, I can copy that text, and after it's text, I can come back here, and I'm just going to paste it down here. And there it is, and of course I could go in and correct that exercising, but I'm just going to get rid of this here. Okay, so you can see it can read your handwriting, and actually there's some things it doesn't read well with me because I use what I was taught in school, how to make a capital I, little, almost kind of like a loop. Never reads it correct. It takes it down as an E. But that's okay. I can go in and quickly change these things. The other thing I do, if I have something that's really quite long, and I don't know if I have anything right here. Okay, let's look at this. I must always look unto God with complete faithfulness. Now, what if I wanted to take that text and I didn't want to do what I just did before and do something like this and translate it? Sometimes what I do is I'm just going to pick a verse over here. It doesn't matter what I pick. And I create a note, and I've already got a note there, so I'm going to come down here. And I just turn on this little microphone on the keyboard, and I read what's over here on my right-hand side. So there's many ways in which this can be done. Get back here. Okay, so, but you learn a lot. Now look here, a few days ago I was studying a topic, and I was strongly impressed to go and read the book of Enos. There was something in it the Lord wanted me to see again. And so that's exactly what I did. And I decided, and I don't always do this, because look, let me go here. There's kind of some circles and squares, but you can see I go quite often, quite long, and don't do that. Okay. And yes, I do shorthand also, and sometimes I like to write my notes in shorthand. And again, this is my journal. I don't have to make excuses that someone else is going to see it. Now, have I saved this journal? Yes, it is backed up. And let's see. You probably can't read it down here, but it says I've got 254 pages of journaling here. And it is backed up. And if my family at my death wants to read it, they can. And if they go to my shorthand, they can figure that out. Although I do use my own kind of version of shorthand, because I'm not a stenographer in a court, and of course they don't use shorthand anymore. But it's just fun to write in shorthand, and it takes less space. So I have fun doing it. So there's nothing wrong with having fun as you're also studying the scriptures. So, and you can see I use different colors and things like that. But let me go back down here to Enos. And I made a note here in blue. His prayer was for forgiveness and then for others. And then I showed that he was persistent. He expected answers. He knew there was a God and knew that God can't lie. But over here, he had faith in Jesus Christ. That was the key thing. I put it in red. And that his faith made him whole, meaning he was saved. And then here it says, has never heard or seen of Christ. Okay, so that was Enos, and then I came down here and I felt like making a mind map. And sometimes I use a mind map software if I'm really going to get big. If it's smaller, then I just use it within my notebook here. And again, you don't have to use an iPad. You can use a notebook and I would suggest different colors of pens. And you can dress up your notebook if you want, if that makes it more enjoyable. Some people like to have a fancy notebook cover, and some like to use different kinds of pens, and they're always looking for that perfect pen. The point is that we need to write as we study the scriptures, and we need to write our questions. So I wrote here, what's the difference between priesthood authority and power? And then very quickly, because what I did is I highlighted in 121 where it talks about priesthood power, and I did a quick search within the Gospel Library. It says, when ordained to an office in the priesthood, you are granted authority, but power comes from exercising that authority in righteousness. And so that really kind of answered my question. And again, it's the Spirit that leads me. It's the Spirit says, just, you know what to do, Richard. I don't hear the word Richard, but go with me. Richard, you know what to do. Highlight that, search it, and that's where you're going to find your answer. And so I do that. And sometimes it's just do a search on it. Okay, I don't get a whole paragraph from the Spirit telling me exactly what to do, because He knows that I know what to do. He knows where my weaknesses are. Okay, and so exercising authority in righteousness. And then I wrote, power comes through powerful prayer. And I found this really interesting. This was from a talk of President Nelson again. And when your wife is sealed to you, her power and potential will increase yours. Wow. That I will go back. At the time I was doing this, I didn't want to stop what I was doing. But see, that's the other thing with my notes. I can quickly find that, take that conference talk, and build something off of that also. So, and the other thing is, because I use digital note-taking and not pen and paper, I can do a search. So if I wanted to see anything that I've searched on, what am I going to pick here? Let's go with priesthood. Oh, that didn't come out to priesthood, did it? That's better. And you can see it starts on page 17. It read my handwriting. Okay, so I'm going to tap on that, open this up a little bit, and in here is the word priesthood. And sometimes it usually highlights the word. Now I'm going to go back to my search here, and you see I used to write white on black, and I said, I want to start writing black on white. So that's down here at 155. And that's why, I think that's why I switched to white on black, because the page 17 up here didn't show the highlighted word, because it doesn't show up on the black, where when I went to, and I'm not really using white, I'm using kind of a yellow, but you can see there's the word priesthood right there. And so the blacks and the priesthood, this is about the blacks and the priesthood. Okay, so I can quickly search for everything that I have written the word priesthood. And so I can go back in my notes. Now, if you have a handwritten journal, you got to go, no. Might take forever, and you may never find it. But I can find whatever I've written about this. And if I want to, and I'm not going to take the time to do it, but I'll show you that I can be done, I can have artificial intelligence in here and say, summarize the key points in all my notes. And it does. But again, I don't want to take the time to do that. And by the way, the app I'm using is Good Notes. Other apps like Notebook, I think it's called Notebook. Notebook are excellent. I just prefer using Good Notes. And I can have a chat with it. It says start a chat. And it's warm. It's got to warm up. AI has been sleeping for a while, so it's got to wake up. And so this is a powerful thing. So I can go through my notes and see what exactly have I been concentrating on. Okay. And so, and I got to say I got it. Okay. And I can go teach me, solve, generate an outline, quiz me, Oh my goodness, quiz me. I'm going to show you that in just a minute, not in GoodNotes, but just using AI. So we're going to have a little bit of fun with that too. I think I can do that. Okay, we'll see if I can do that. Anyway, these are the advantages of using digital note-taking because I can go in and quiz me. In fact, let's hit quiz me. Let's see. Suggested questions. Summarize. Summarize. Now, I've never tried quiz me. Let's try quiz me. Let's see what it comes up with. Okay. Generate 5 short questions based on all pages. Okay. Oh, man. I may embarrass myself in this. Okay. So it's generating questions. And we'll see how much I can remember. Okay. It says, I will ask you a series of questions based upon your specified practice text. After each question, you can submit your answer. And so it's giving me instructions. It says, by the way, you can optimize your experience by turning on full page view and hiding your notebook content if you'd like to get, if you'd like. So let's get started. What does reconcile myself to the will of God mean? Okay. Do I want to try to answer this? I might get a thumbs down. I might get an F. Okay, what does reconcile myself, God, mean? And I'm going to use the mic. I look at it as seeing my weaknesses and repenting on a daily basis. Okay, now we'll see. Moment of truth. Checking for my answer. And actually, I don't have answers in here. Okay. Good effort. Yeah, that's a good teacher. Good effort. You're on the right track, which means I'm not right. Okay. But your answer is incomplete. Let's explore this concept a little bit more. Okay. So now that I've embarrassed myself and trying to understand what I've written in my notes, at least you can see how powerful digital note taking is. It's very, very powerful. All right. Okay. I said that we would go in. I think I'm going to hold off until next week. I'm going to show you how to have a dialogue, an actual dialogue, not within GoodNotes, but on AI. So we're going to do that next week. And I'm going to show you how powerful that can be to test your knowledge of the scriptures. And the reason I'm not going to do it now is because I don't think I can do it on the iPad. I think I have to use my computer or my phone. So anyway, I will figure that out. And next week, it's going to be very exciting because you're going to see that I can use AI to question what I know about, for example, Jacob 5. And it will come up with questions kind of like just what this did here in GoodNotes. But what I'm going to be able to do is I'm going to actually have a conversation with AI, and you're going to see that in action, okay? So I will do that next week. So that is it for today. And I just want to emphasize again the importance of using note-taking in studying the scriptures and being still and listen to the Spirit teach you. Today, I've had wonderful experiences within the scriptures where the Lord has spoken to me, where He's directed me, where I've made notes. I even have some personal revelation that was given to me, and it is now in my small plates in my day one journaling app. And those are very personal, and so I don't share them. But anyway, I testify that the Spirit will teach us if we'll just be still. And yes, it's wonderful to have other resources, and I do use other resources, and I've shown that in the past, but it's because I'm directed by the Spirit. I am not one to go to the bookstore and buy all of these study guides. There's nothing wrong with them. The people are doing a good work, but they're just not for me because I really want to depend more on the Spirit. But I do use resources. I have access to all the books on Deseret Books, even books that haven't been published for years. And sometimes I go to those books and do a quick search and find some information. But again, I'm directed by the Spirit to do that. And so that's why I don't go to AI and just say, break down for me Jacob 5 in bullet points. I'm not going to do that. Now, I might do that as a class instruction of what AI can do, but I don't do that. In fact, I just received notice, someone in my family, I'll give her full credit, Coralie Bernard, my daughter-in-law, wonderful daughter-in-law, and she sent me an app that a 17-year-old had created for scripture study. And I finally had a chance to look at it. He's actually selling it for $40 a year. I'm never against free enterprise, but as I read what the app did, it's almost all already in the gospel library. But what concerns me more, and as I looked at people who were reviewing it on FaceTime, he also has AI in there that is just restricted to the gospel, but you can actually have a conversation with Joseph Smith using AI. And then, very clever. I don't know if that is necessarily good. The other thing I noticed is that in his app, you can use AI to get a quick lesson ready. No. Lessons take time. The Spirit doesn't always speak to me right when I'm doing my lesson. Sometimes the answer comes when I'm driving or when I'm at the temple. And then I have to record it and come back. And so I want to encourage you, rely on the Spirit for your scripture study, and you will have wonderful, wonderful experiences. And if you're already having those experiences, I hope that what I've shown you using digital note-taking, you might consider getting a tablet and start exploring ways in which you can expand and deepen your scripture study by using those. I testify that Jesus is the Christ. He's my Savior, my Redeemer. And this is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And he is the head of that church through his prophets. You have a blessed week.